here at our committee. MP Dzerowicz, please, it's your time now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank the Deputy Prime Minister for being here today. I do want to start off with two things. On the record, Mr. Chair, I also want to say the Conservatives keep on asking our Deputy Prime Minister to attend, but not giving her a chance to respond. So it's very sad to hear that the Conservatives are afraid to hear the facts directly from the Deputy Prime Minister and are willing to talk over her and interrupt her. I don't know why she would ever accept an invitation from us if this is what's going to happen. I'm also going to say I am absolutely appalled that there was an accusation about our Prime Minister being a bully to former female members of Parliament. It is an appalling accusation and completely untrue, and that needs to be stated as well. And perhaps what I'll begin, Deputy Prime Minister Freeland, I know that there were a number of things that were mentioned by my Conservative colleagues. Is there anything that you want to respond to before I actually get into my questions?
Yes, thank you very much, MP Dzerowicz. And I must say, Mr. Blakey was exactly right in saying that if committee members prefer to engage in monologues, then there doesn't seem to be much point in actually gathering as a committee. I do think that it is worth putting on the record that there is a clear contradiction in the Conservatives' purported scheme on housing, because their scheme, at least ostensibly, would cut back on the elimination of the GST on the construction of purpose-built rental, which we have put forward and which is already leading to more homes being built. And yet the Conservative members of this committee in the House of Commons voted to support our complete elimination of the GST on purpose-built rental apartments. So I think it would actually be useful to understand the thinking behind that contradictory position. I think it may also be worth me reading into the record a conclusion from an economist who is generally seen as one of Canada's preeminent housing experts, Professor Mike Moffat. He has described the Conservative proposal as, quote, an exceptionally weak response to the housing crisis, riddled with loopholes. And he has gone on to say, quote, this is a sign that the Conservatives don't understand the urgency or scale of the housing crisis. Those are not my words. Those are the words of an independent expert. And I'm now happy to answer your questions.
As you know, the residents of my riding of Davenport, and indeed all Canadians, would say housing is one of their top issues and very concerned about it. In your opening statement, you've mentioned broadly many of the initiatives that we've undertaken. We've heard at this committee a lot of testimony that there's been issues at different levels of government that has stopped many people want to build from building affordable housing, rental housing. Can you speak more specifically about how you're addressing some of the structural issues that result in the structural shortage of housing supply?
For sure, and thank you for the question. Look, clearly one of the challenges with housing is the current economic environment, the current macroeconomic environment, and that's why our government is there with support for financing. We want to make the math work for home builders, and that's what we've done. Lifting the GST on purpose-built rental, Professor Moffat estimates that will add between 200 and 300,000 more. That will lead to between 200 and 300,000 more homes to be built. The apartment construction loan program, to which we topped up with an additional $15 billion in the fall economic statement, that program in its entirety will lead to 100,000 homes being built. Before the fall economic statement, we announced an additional $20 billion in the Canada Mortgage Bond Financing Program, and that is going to lead over the next 5 years alone to another 150,000 new homes being built. You spoke, Ms. Dzerowicz, about also sort of the structural obstacles to new homes being built. And I think we all agree that there is red tape. There are restrictions on zoning that as a country we need to work together to lift. That is where the Housing Accelerator Fund comes in. It is a fund that allows us to work collaboratively with municipalities across the country to help them design tailored measures that work for their communities to get more homes built faster, and that it provides financing to help them do precisely that. I'm very glad that this fund is being rolled out quickly and aggressively across the country. Already, more than 100,000 new homes will be built through this fund, and we're going to keep on reaching constructively, collaboratively agreements with municipalities across the country.
Thank you. And then I just have one more quick question. Millions of my residents, not millions, millions of Canadians are going to be renewing their mortgage this year. And they're worried. They're worried because the interest rates are so high, and they're worried about whether or not they're going to be able to afford to renew their mortgage. Is there anything that we have put into place that's going to be helpful to Canadians at this point?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And I think all of us as members of Parliament, we talk with our constituents, and I'm sure all of us have heard from people who are really anxious about the renewal of their mortgages. That's why in the Fall Economic Statement, for the first time in Canadian history, we published the Canadian Mortgage Charter. It's very simple. It's in black and white, and it tells Canadians what they have the right to expect from their financial institutions, the kinds of tailored relief and support they have the right to expect when they're renewing their mortgages. And that is really about being sure people understand the tools that are available to them. A couple of the key measures are people have the right to talk to their financial institution about perhaps extending the amortization period. That could lead to a smaller monthly payment at this time of really challenging circumstances. Another element there is for insured mortgages, you do not need to requalify in order to go and look for renewing at a different financial institution. Again, that's just to give people a little bit more choice, a little more flexibility.
Thank you, MP Dzerowicz.